Every courtroom has 4 walls, but inside them, entire worlds collapse. And sometimes the greatest battles are not fought over money or betrayal, but over children. This is case number 3, the custody conspiracy. A story where love turned to lies and lies turned into weapons. Michael and Sophia Hale lived in a home most people only dreamed of. A white pillared mansion in the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia. 5 bedrooms, polished marble floors, chandeliers that sparkled in the evening light. Michael was a self-made man, a construction magnate whose contracts stretched across 3 states. Sophia had once been a school teacher, but after their first child was born, she chose to stay home and devote her life to raising their family. To neighbors, they looked flawless. 2 expensive cars in the driveway, children in private school uniforms laughing on the lawn, summer vacations in Europe, winter trips to Aspen. They had everything, it seemed. Everything except peace. But in families, cracks don't show in photographs. They show in whispers behind closed doors, in the sharp silence at dinner tables, in the way children flinch when voices rise. By the 10th year of their marriage, Michael and Sophia no longer moved in rhythm. Their arguments began quietly, over finances, over late nights at work, over forgotten anniversaries. But slowly, those arguments grew sharper, louder, more dangerous. Sophia accused Michael of being absent, too obsessed with his company. Michael countered that Sophia was wasteful, constantly spending, hiding expenses. Neither trusted the other's words anymore. And in the middle of that storm were 2 children who only wanted their parents to smile again. On a rainy Thursday morning, Michael's world shifted. A courier arrived at his office with a thick envelope. Inside were divorce papers, the petitioner, Sophia Hale, the allegations, betrayal, abuse, and unfitness as a father. The demands, sole custody of both children, permanent residence in the family home, and a monthly support order that could drain millions over the years. Michael read the words again and again, each line cutting deeper. He had expected fights, maybe even separation. But to accuse him of being unfit for his children? That was a blade to his very soul. In her petition, Sophia painted a picture of a tyrant. She claimed Michael shouted at the children, ignored them for business calls, and once left their daughter at school for hours because he forgot to pick her up. She claimed he drank too much, slammed doors, and created an environment of fear. She even hinted at physical intimidation, though without specific dates. The document was heavy not just with paper but with poison. Michael denied it all. He admitted they fought, what couple didn't? But abuse, neglect? He loved his children more than his own breath. His anger wasn't at them, it was at life, at work, at pressures she never understood. Yet now, those very pressures were being twisted into weapons against him. That night, Michael sat alone in his study, the divorce petition on the desk before him. His hands shook as he poured a glass of water. On the bookshelf behind him were photos, his son at his first soccer game, his daughter on her 6th birthday, Sophia smiling beside him years ago when love was still simple. He whispered to himself, "They are my life. I will not lose them." And in that moment, Michael's fight began. Not for money, not for pride, but for custody. Michael hired one of the toughest family law attorneys in Atlanta, Carla Jennings, known in courtrooms as the Hawk. She was sharp, relentless, and believed in evidence over emotions. Carla reviewed the petition carefully, her eyes narrowing. "They're building a narrative," she said. "If we don't break it, the judge could lean in her favor." Michael leaned forward, desperate. "Tell me what to do." "I'll do anything." Carla adjusted her glasses. "We fight with proof. Documents, witnesses, recordings if necessary. If she's hiding money or manipulating stories, we'll expose it." Days later, Michael's counterclaim was filed. In it, he denied all allegations of abuse, accusing Sophia instead of financial manipulation. He alleged she had been moving money from their accounts without his knowledge, setting up funds in her name. He claimed she had coached the children into fearing him. He demanded joint custody, insisting that a father's role was as vital as a mother's. The stage was set. The lines were drawn, and the courtroom waited. While legal documents piled up, life for the children grew confusing. Their daughter Lily asked, "Mom, why don't you and Dad eat dinner together anymore?" Their son Ethan whispered at night, "Will we have to choose?" Sophia hugged them close, whispering that everything would be okay. Michael told them the same, but his voice trembled. For the first time, bedtime stories were filled not with fairy tales, but with uncertainty. the judge scheduled a temporary orders hearing. On that day, the court would decide who stayed in the house, who paid immediate support, and most importantly, where the children would live until the final trial. Both sides prepared with fire. For Sophia, this was the moment to prove her accusations. For Michael, it was the moment to defend not only his rights as a father, but his very identity. As the courthouse loomed in the distance, both Michael and Sophia braced themselves. Outside, the world still saw a successful couple with perfect children. Inside, the truth was about to unfold in front of a judge, strangers, and the very system that would decide their fate. In Family Case USA, every case carries betrayal, but some betrayals are heavier than love itself. And in case number 3, the battle for custody was only just beginning. Inside the hallway outside Department 5B, the air was thick with whispers, the shuffling of files, the smell of coffee from a vending machine. Michael sat beside his attorney, Carla Jennings, his hands clenched tightly around a pen. Across the hall sat Sophia, dressed in calm beige, her attorney, Mr. Duncan, at her side. She didn't look at Michael. She kept her gaze on the floor tiles, her lips moving faintly, as if rehearsing. The bailiff opened the door. Case number 21-458, Hale versus Hale. Parties present? The words echoed like thunder. Both lawyers stood. The storm was about to begin. Judge Reynolds was known for patience, but not indulgence. A man with silver hair and sharp eyes, he had presided over custody battles for decades. As he entered, the courtroom rose. He nodded once, took his seat, and spoke. "We are here on temporary orders. Counsel, I expect brevity and facts. Children's welfare comes first." Michael glanced at Carla. She nodded, calm, collected. Sophia adjusted her bracelet nervously. For both, this was not just law, it was life. Mr. Duncan rose first, papers in hand. "Your Honor, this is not a simple divorce. This is about the safety and well-being of 2 children. My client, Mrs. Sophia Hale, has endured years of neglect. The respondent, Mr. Michael Hale, prioritized his business empire over his family. The children have been exposed to shouting, to instability, and to fear. We ask for temporary sole custody for Mrs. Hale, with limited supervised visitation for Mr. Hale." Every word struck Michael like a blow. He wanted to shout, to deny, but Carla placed a hand gently on his arm. "Wait," she whispered. "Our turn will come." Carla rose, steady as stone. "Your Honor, the picture painted by opposing counsel is not only exaggerated, it is false. Mr. Hale is a dedicated father. Yes, he works hard, but every dollar earned was for his family. There is no evidence, no police reports, no child protective services involvement, no medical records, nothing to support claims of abuse or danger. What there is, however, is evidence of financial manipulation on Mrs. Hale's part, evidence of hidden accounts, and evidence of coaching the children to fear their father." Gasps rippled lightly through the gallery. Sophia's lips parted, but Mr. Duncan tapped her wrist, signaling silence. Judge Reynolds raised a hand. "I will not have theatrics. Present evidence." Carla moved to the evidence table. "Exhibit A, Your Honor, bank records from First Georgia Bank showing consistent transfers from the joint marital account into an account under Mrs. Hale's name only, totaling $42,000 over 2 years. Exhibit B, emails retrieved showing discussions with a financial advisor about moving funds before the split. Exhibit C, testimony from the children's nanny, Ms. Lopez, who reported that Mrs. Hale instructed the children to be careful what you say about Daddy in court." Judge Reynolds lifted his eyebrows, flipping through the documents. The courtroom buzzed with tension. Sophia shifted uncomfortably, her eyes darting between the judge and the floor. Ms. Lopez, the longtime nanny, was called to testify. She stood nervously, but her voice was clear. "I cared for the children for 6 years. Mr. Hale worked a lot. Yes, but he always asked about the kids, came to soccer games when he could, and read bedtime stories when home. Mrs. Hale, before court, told Lily, remember Daddy yells a lot. Tell the judge you're scared." Lily was confused. She said, "But I'm not scared." Sophia's face flushed crimson. Mr. Duncan objected. "Hearsay!" But Judge Reynolds allowed it as context. Michael exhaled, a tiny thread of hope weaving back into his chest. After hours of testimony, arguments, and objections, Judge Reynolds leaned back. He tapped his pen against the file. Then he spoke. "Temporary orders are not final judgments. but they shape the children's lives until trial. I am not convinced Mr. Hale poses danger requiring supervised visits, nor am I convinced Mrs. Hale's financial conduct can be ignored. Sophia's breath hitched. Michael gripped the table tighter. The room froze. Judge Reynolds. Therefore, I order joint temporary custody. The children shall spend weekdays with their mother, weekends with their father. Mr. Hale shall retain access to the marital residence for exchanges and activities. Both parties are prohibited from speaking negatively about the other in front of the children. Financial discovery shall proceed immediately, and all accounts frozen from unusual withdrawals. The gavel struck softly, but its echo filled Michael's soul with a strange mix of relief and sorrow. He had not lost them, not yet. Sophia's lips trembled, anger or fear, no one could tell. As the crowd filtered out, Michael whispered to Carla, "Thank you. Thank you for keeping me with them." Carla only nodded. "This is round one. The real battle is still ahead." In the hallway, Sophia avoided Michael's gaze. She tightened her coat, pulled her purse strap higher, and walked past him without a word. Michael watched her leave, feeling both rage and grief. This was not the woman he had married. This was now an opponent in a war neither of them had ever imagined. And so, the first orders were given. Not victory, not defeat, but a fragile balance. Joint custody, frozen accounts, and a storm waiting to break. For Michael, hope remained. For Sophia, strategy deepened. And for the children, the battle for their lives had only just begun. In Family Case USA, every verdict is temporary, until the truth finds its way to light. Within days of the temporary orders, both legal teams exchanged their first batch of disclosures. Bank statements, tax returns, credit card bills, medical records, stacks of paper taller than a child's school bag. For Michael, every page felt like proof of his devotion. For Sophia, every page was a shield she hoped would hold. And for the lawyers, these were not memories, they were weapons. Michael sat in Carla's office late into the evening. Yellow desk lamps lit piles of documents. Carla flipped through bank records with the precision of a surgeon. "Look here," she said, circling a transaction. $2,000 withdrawn as cash. Labeled groceries. But the grocery receipts show only $180. Where did the rest go? Michael shook his head, frustration rising. "She was moving it." "Always small amounts, but consistent," Carla nodded. "That pattern is intent. Judges look at patterns." Across town, Sophia sat with Mr. Duncan. She sipped tea, her hands steady even as her lawyer pressed. "You know discovery will expose everything. Transfers, conversations, even messages. Is there anything else we should prepare for?" Sophia looked him straight in the eyes. "Everything I did for the children. I will not let him twist it," Mr. Duncan sighed. "Intentions don't matter if the paper says otherwise." Weeks later, subpoenaed emails arrived. Among them, a string between Sophia and her sister. One line cut like a knife. "If I can get sole custody, the house is guaranteed. He won't fight once he knows the kids are with me." Carla read it aloud in a low voice. Michael closed his eyes, pain flashing across his face. "She was planning this, long before the divorce." Carla tapped the paper. "And now it's more than pain. It's evidence." A forensic accountant was brought in, a man named Jacob Price. With spectacles perched on his nose and fingers stained with ink, he lived in numbers. After 2 weeks, he presented his findings. Hidden transfers totaling over $90,000, moved systematically into accounts under Sophia's maiden name. "This is deliberate concealment," Jacob concluded. "It is not savings. It is siphoning." The words fell heavy in the room. For Michael, it was vindication. For Sophia, it was danger. The court ordered a custody evaluation. A child psychologist, Dr. Monroe, visited both homes. In Michael's house, she saw structure, bedtimes, homework charts, pancakes on Saturday mornings. In Sophia's rented apartment, she saw warmth, but also whispered words. Ethan told her, "Mom says Dad gets angry when we're loud." Lily admitted, "I don't like when they fight. I just want quiet." Dr. Monroe wrote carefully, "Children show love for both parents, but also signs of pressure from maternal influence." Another piece of paper. Another piece of truth. Discovery is not only papers. Sometimes it is silence caught on tape. Carla obtained security footage from the marital home's porch camera. In one clip, Sophia whispered sharply to Lily before a custody exchange, "Remember, tell them Daddy scares you when he yells." Lily, clutching her backpack, shook her head. "But he doesn't," Sophia hissed. "Just say it." The video lasted only 30 seconds. But in court, 30 seconds can outweigh 30 years of stories. When Michael first saw the footage, his hands shook. Tears welled up as he whispered, "They're just children. She's making them soldiers." Carla placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "This is why we fight. Not for you. Not for her. For them." Michael nodded, wiping his eyes, steel returning to his jaw. The war was no longer about pride, it was about survival. When Sophia learned about the footage, she slammed her hand on Duncan's desk. "That was private. That was between me and my child." Duncan's voice was calm, almost cold. "Sophia, the moment you involve the children in coaching, it's not private anymore. It's evidence of manipulation. Judges don't tolerate that." Sophia's eyes narrowed. "He will not take them from me." Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with fury. Judge Reynolds adjusted his glasses and nodded to the bailiff. "Bring in the first witness." The gallery leaned forward. This was no longer about papers. This was about people, voices, and credibility. Ms. Lopez, the longtime nanny, took the oath. Her hands shook slightly as she sat. Carla Jennings rose first. "Ms. Lopez, how long did you care for the Hale children?" The nanny replied softly. 6 years, Your Honor, since Lily was a toddler and Ethan was just a baby." Carla nodded. "And in those years, how would you describe Mr. Hale as a father?" Lopez looked at Michael and said, "Busy, yes, but loving." "He tried. He always tried." Then Carla's voice sharpened. "Did you ever witness Mrs. Hale instructing the children about what to say regarding their father?" Lopez hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, she told Lily once before court to say Daddy scared her. Lily told me later, but he doesn't scare me. I felt it was wrong." Gasps rustled through the courtroom. Sophia's lawyer rose smoothly. "Ms. Lopez, isn't it true you were paid by Mr. Hale's company account?" "That your livelihood depended on him?" Lopez swallowed. "Yes, but," Duncan cut in. "So if Mr. Hale lost custody, your job could end, correct?" Lopez shifted uncomfortably. "I suppose so." Duncan spread his hands. "No further questions." Doubt had been planted. Next came Dr. Monroe, the custody evaluator. With calm professionalism, she took the stand. Carla asked, "Doctor, what did you observe in the Hale children's homes?" Monroe answered, "Both children love both parents. However, I did note signs of influence." Lily repeated phrases like "Daddy yells," but when questioned further, she admitted she wasn't scared, only told to say it. The judge's eyes narrowed. This was weighty, but Duncan rose. "Doctor, children also said their father sometimes slammed doors. Isn't that a sign of intimidation?" Monroe replied evenly, "Slamming doors is not ideal, but it is not abuse by itself. Children showed no ongoing trauma linked to the father." Duncan pursed his lips, his angle blunted. Then came Jacob Price, the forensic accountant. He stacked thick binders on the witness table. Carla leaned in. "Mr. Price, what did your review uncover?" Price replied, "Systematic transfers. Over $90,000 moved into accounts under Mrs. Hale's maiden name. The timing suggests deliberate concealment, not incidental savings." Carla pressed, "In your professional opinion, was this transparent?" Price's voice was firm. "No, it was intentional." Duncan rose quickly for cross. "Mr. Price, can you prove Mrs. Hale used these funds for personal gain?" Price adjusted his glasses. "I can prove concealment. Intent is for the court to infer." Duncan smirked slightly. "So you can't prove motive," Price replied calmly. "Numbers rarely lie, Mr. Duncan. People do." The gallery murmured at the sting. Finally, Carla moved to the television screen. "Your Honor, Exhibit F, porch camera footage." The screen flickered, showing Sophia whispering sharply to Lily, "Remember, tell them Daddy scares you when he yells." The room froze. Sophia's lawyer objected, "Out of context." But the judge overruled. Everyone watched as little Lily whispered back, "But he doesn't." The video ended. Silence thundered louder than any gavel. Michael's chest rose and fell heavily. Sophia's face drained of color. The judge scribbled notes, his expression unreadable. Then came the moment. Sophia herself took the stand. Her lawyer guided her gently. "Sophia, why did you file for sole custody?" She answered tearfully, "Because I was scared. Michael works all the time. He shouts, he forgets things. I thought maybe the children would be safer with me." Duncan asked softly, "Did you ever tell your daughter what to say?" Sophia hesitated. I only wanted her to tell the truth. Maybe I said things wrong." Then Carla rose, eyes sharp. "Mrs. Hale, is this your email to your sister? Where you wrote, quote, 'If I can get sole custody, the house is guaranteed.'" Sophia froze. I don't remember." Carla pressed, "Is this your voice on the porch camera telling your daughter to lie?" Sophia's lips trembled. "I was scared." Carla's tone cut like a blade. "Scared of losing your plan, not your children." Sophia broke into tears. Michael himself was called. Duncan went on the attack. "Mr. Hale, is it true you once forgot to pick up your daughter from school?" Michael's voice cracked. "Yes, one day stuck in traffic. I called the school. She was safe. I apologized for days." Duncan pounced. "And is it true you slam doors, shout in anger?" Michael answered firmly. "Yes, sometimes, but never at my children. I would never hurt them." He turned to the judge, eyes wet. "They are my life. Everything else can go, but not them." By the end of testimony, the air was thick with tension. The judge leaned back, removed his glasses, and rubbed his temples. He had seen hundreds of cases, but rarely one tangled with such love and such lies. "I will reserve judgment until closing arguments," he said. "Court is adjourned for today." The gavel struck. The storm paused, but only for a moment. As the gallery emptied, Michael sat still, his chest heavy with exhaustion, but also hope. Sophia wiped her tears, her lawyer whispering furiously. Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed. Neighbors, journalists, strangers wanting a piece of the drama. But inside their hearts, it was not drama. It was destruction. And the verdict had yet to come. In Family Case USA, witness testimony is never just words. It is the mirror of choices past. And in case number 3, the mirror was almost ready to break. Michael stood at the courthouse window, watching clouds slide past the skyline. Behind him, stacks of exhibits, bank transfers, emails, the porch camera clip, the evaluator's report. Across the hall, Sophia sat perfectly still, hands folded, lips pressed into a line only she could read. Today, truth would be arranged into sentences. Carla Jennings rose first, calm, precise, relentless. "Carla, Your Honor, custody is not a prize. It is responsibility measured in routines, in homework charts, in quiet safety. The evidence shows 2 things. 1, Mr. Hale is an imperfect but devoted father. 2, Mrs. Hale manipulated the narrative, coaching a child, moving funds and turning conflict into a weapon. She lifted the evaluator's report. Carla. Dr. Monroe found no trauma attached to the father. She did find pressure attached to the mother's words. The video corroborates it. The numbers corroborate it. We ask for joint legal custody with a balanced schedule and for the court to address the financial concealment. Mr. Duncan stepped into the center well, voice low but sharpened. "Duncan, no one doubts Mr. Hale loves his children. Love alone is not the standard. Stability is. He works at all hours. He slams doors. He forgot a pickup. These are small fractures that form a pattern. As for the video, parents under stress say poor words. It is not a blueprint for alienation. We ask the court for primary physical custody with generous visitation to the father." He paused, then aimed the final line carefully. "Duncan, give these children quiet nights. That is all." Judge Reynolds leaned forward, fingertips together. "Judge, Ms. Jennings, if I grant a balanced schedule, how will exchanges occur without conflict?" Carla. "Neutral police substation or school campus handoffs. No doorstep arguments." Judge. "Mr. Duncan, what safeguards ensure Mrs. Hale does not coach again?" Duncan. "A non-disparagement order with swift sanctions and therapeutic co-parenting sessions." The judge nodded, building a plan even as he weighed a verdict. Then the door opened. The bailiff received a sealed envelope and carried it to the bench. A subpoena return, phone records. The judge scanned the pages, his brows drawing together. Judge. Counsel approach. Whispers at the bench. The gallery held its breath. Carla's eyes flicked to Michael. Duncan's jaw tightened. The judge resumed. Judge, these logs show Mrs. Hale exchange messages with her sister before the petition was filed, discussing sole custody as leverage for residence and support. The court takes pre-planning into account when it touches the children. Sophia closed her eyes. It was the same blade, turned again. Sophia rose without prompting, voice thin but steady. Sophia, Your Honor, I was afraid. I thought if I didn't control the outcome, we would lose everything. House, schools, their routine. I said wrong things. I shouldn't have. Her hands shook as she added softly, almost to herself, Sophia, I forgot that fear can sound like lies. The judge watched her, eyes unreadable. Carla requested one more measure. Carla, if the court has any doubt, appoint a guardian ad litem, a voice solely for the children, to monitor exchanges and school performance for 90 days. Duncan, we won't object, as long as both parties bear costs equally. Judge, so ordered if I adopt that. Framework, a map was forming. Reynolds folded his hands. Judge, here's what I do when parents say trust me and the record says maybe. I test the home that breathes peace. He outlined a trial parenting plan. Near final note before the hammer fell. Joint legal. Custody 223. Rotation. Montu with one parent. Wedthu with the other. Alternating free son. All exchanges at school or a neutral substation. No doorstep contact. Non-disparagement order. No coaching. No adult topics with children. Therapeutic co-parent counseling bi-weekly for 90 days. Guardian ad litem to file monthly reports on compliance. School attendance, counseling notes. Financial restraint remains. Forensic review proceeds to address concealed funds. Judge, comply perfectly or I recalibrate permanently. Carla rose once more. Your Honor, with the court's leave, short audio from a school counselor meeting recorded with consent. The judge allowed it. The room heard Lily's small voice. I want both houses to feel quiet, and Ethan's. I want Dad to come to my game without anyone being mad. The audio stopped. No one moved. Judge, children are wiser than we deserve. The judge spoke slowly, each word placed like a stone. Judge, this court finds no evidence that Mr. Hale is a danger to his children. It does find evidence that Mrs. Hale has, at times, influenced the children's words and concealed funds. That conduct must stop. Immediately. Judge, I am inclined to adopt a balanced schedule with oversight. I will take the matter under advisement and issue a written order within 10 days after reviewing the guardian ad litem's preliminary intake. The gavel did not fall. Not yet. The room exhaled, half relief, half dread. In the corridor, the world resumed. Shoes on marble, murmurs, a vending machine humming. Michael pressed his palms against the cool glass of a window. Michael whisper, 2 houses, 1 childhood. Don't break! Carla touched his shoulder. You showed up with truth. Keep showing up. Across the hall, Mr. Duncan spoke to Sophia in clipped tones. Compliance is survival now. Sophia nodded, eyes rimmed red. That evening, the test began. The exchange happened at the school parking lot. No doorsteps, no words. Lily hugged Sophia first, then Michael. Ethan passed his backpack between cars like a baton in a relay where love was the finish line. Engines idled. Hearts stalled. The world stubbornly kept turning. At Michael's place, dinner was simple. Grilled cheese, tomato soup, cut apples. Homework happened at the kitchen table. Bedtime 8:30, lights low, doors soft. On the counter, a sticky note for the morning. Friday, bring science project. Quiet is a kind of evidence. Across town, Sophia stood in the doorway of the children's empty room, blanket smoothed, night lamp on. She took the porch camera clip in her mind and folded it into a regret she could not yet speak aloud. Fear is a poor architect for a home. 10 days. A written order. A near final plan that could harden into years. In Family Case USA, some gavels fall once. Others fall in stages. The next strike would decide more than a schedule. It would decide who the children trusted to keep the nights quiet. And somewhere on the judge's desk, the file for Hale versus Hale waited. pages heavy with numbers, with voices, with the small, steady proof of a house that finally learned to close its doors softly.